What's up, guys? This is Dan for BladeReviews.com, back again with a review of the Zero Tolerance 0620 CF. Of course, this is the collaboration with Ernest Emerson, and what an awesome knife. I've got the upgraded version with the carbon fiber handle scale and Bowler M390 blade steel. I've got it next to my Hinderer, my Zero Tolerance Hinderer 0562, and awesome knife, awesome knife. So some quick specs for the 0620. It's got an overall length of 8.5 inches, a 3.6 inch long blade, and a weight of 6.2 ounces. So definitely a full-size knife, a big, substantial tool. Not something that I'm going to really be carrying at the office or anything like that, but it's a fun knife, and it can certainly be used, especially if maybe you're in the trades or you're law enforcement or military or something like that. Perhaps a knife like this could be put to good use. So at any rate, let's take a look at the blade here. We've got a wicked American Tanto blade shape here. Really aggressive design, and I happen to really like it. I'm not typically a huge Tanto fan, but this one's got a lot going on, and it's definitely a beautiful blade. So let's see here where to start. So we've got a little bit of a belly on the front portion of the Tanto here. You've got satin grinds and stonewash flats, just like on a real Emerson, something I've always liked. And I've always admired how crisp and clean the grinds are on Emerson's blades. They're absolutely beautiful, and my favorite parts of his knives. And I think Zero Tolerance has done a good job here. It's not quite an Emerson blade, but it's pretty darn good, and certainly has some wonderful grinds to it. I like how they've gone ahead and applied a V-edge instead of a chisel ground edge that you'll find on most of Emerson's offerings. So for those who don't really know, V-edge is where the edge is applied on both sides. With an actual Emerson, he usually just puts the edge on one side of the knife and says it's easier to sharpen and maintain and all of that good stuff. I prefer a V-ground edge, so I don't miss it here on the 0620. Blade steel is Bowler M390. That's a super steel, and it is hardened to approximately 62 HRC, and I've really come to enjoy M390. I've got it on a few knives now, and I've been testing it pretty thoroughly. And what I like about M390 is that it holds a good edge, but it's also reasonable to sharpen. Some of those super steels can be really tough to keep sharp. Well, not to keep sharp, but to sharpen. And I'm not the world's best sharpener. I mean, I can put an edge on something, but I really do appreciate it when you've got a steel that you can easily maintain. And the M390 is surprisingly easy to sharpen, so I think that's great. Let's move on to the handle here, and you can take a close-up look at that beautiful carbon fiber handle scale. You've got some oversized hardware, which I really enjoy. This is actually the same pivot hardware that you'll find on the original 0300. That was the Strider Ken Onion collaboration. And you've got some big standoffs and a lanyard post. Let me show you the standoffs on the Hinderer ZT 0562, and you can see there's a big difference here in the hardware, which is nice. I like that. It's a cool detail. Here on the titanium lock side, you've got a tumbled piece of titanium. It is quite thick, very thick piece of titanium. No doubt this is where a lot of those 6 ounces are hiding, in this piece of titanium here. So beautifully finished, and that's where some of the Emersons I've owned in the past have kind of fallen down. The finishing has been a little bit rough, especially in kind of sort of the tough spots to reach, like where the jimping is and things like that. You can find little tooling marks and things like that. Not so much here on the ZT. It's actually very well finished, as I've come to expect from them. So nice to see. Ergonomically, it's a very comfortable, very comfortable handle. Ernest is, of course, known for really comfortable handles. He's a martial artist, and he puts ergonomics high on his list of things that he's trying to get right in his designs. And I've never had a problem with any of his knives from an ergonomic standpoint. They've always been very comfortable, and this 620 is no different. Quite comfy. You'll see it's a pretty thick knife, so there's a lot of room here, a lot to grab onto. There is some pretty toothy jimping. It's not sharp, so I wouldn't call it ultra aggressive, but it certainly indexes your thumb and provides a little bit of traction. I'm sure with gloves it would really grab onto your gloves there, so that's good. Yet it's not annoying. It's not going to make your thumb fall off after using the knife for an extended period of time, so I think that's good. Good ergonomics. Let's move to the pocket clip here. And the pocket clip is classic Emerson. It looks like ZT just borrowed his clip design, which I have no problem with. It's a tried and true clip. It's very similar to the clip you'll find on a Benchmade Griptilian. So very functional, simple. Rides decently low in the pocket. It's not a deep carry clip, but you can see how they've positioned it high on the back of the handle here. So it works well. It works well for what it is. Perhaps my favorite thing about this knife and how it carries is the fact that Zero Tolerance went ahead and drilled and tapped the handle for ambidextrous tip-up carry. So most Emersons, in fact, all Emersons from the factory, unless you special order one or you get a left-handed version or send it back to the factory to have them work on it, will come just with right side tip-up carry only. And here you can see they've drilled and tapped this handle for ambidextrous tip-up carry. So I like that a lot as a southpaw. I know that even some righties like having the clip on the other side. Maybe it's for weak side carry or whatever. It's good to have that option. So glad they included that here. Let's talk a little bit about the deployment and lockup. So for opening the knife, you have your choice of wave feature or thumb disc, and both work well. The thumb disc you can use to pop the knife open easily. It is a serrated or textured thumb disc, and it does tear up your thumb a little bit. You can see where it's kind of flaked away at my thumbnail. So I don't flick this knife open compulsively, but certainly if you need to get at it quickly, you can flick it open. You can also slowly roll the blade over or roll it open, although there is a substantial detent there, which is good. If you don't want to use the thumb stud, of course you can, or excuse me, the thumb disc, of course you can use the wave, and the wave works well, so that's good to see. You know, traditional Emerson wave here, nicely implemented. For lockup, of course you have this titanium frame lock with a steel lock bar insert, and you can see lockup is nice and early. It is extremely secure. There isn't even a suggestion of blade play in any direction. This is just a very solid knife. I mean, with all this titanium and steel going on here, you would have to expect that it's a sturdy lockup, and it really is. So no issues at all. The lock, doesn't stick or anything like that. Very, very good. Very reliable deployment and lockup on this knife. One thing to mention is that it included they included phosphor bronze washers rather than their bearings that they've included on stuff like this hinderer. I think it would have been fun if they went ahead and put bearings in this. I mean, I realize that it's not a flipper, but they've added every other bell and whistle, so why not throw some bearings in there? I think that would have been cool, but certainly not necessary. So, well, that takes us through the features, the specs, my impressions, having carried and used this knife for a while now. As for final thoughts, this is probably my favorite Emerson. In fact, I know it is. It's got the carbon fiber handles, the titanium frame lock, Bowler N390 super steel. It's the Emerson that I've always wanted, but they've never quite gotten it, unless you're going to go for a custom or some sort of limited production Emerson. So I think it's really cool, and if you have the opportunity to pick one up, I know that they have stopped producing, I believe, the M390 bladed version of it, but maybe you can snag one on the forums, or if you're poking around on eBay or something. Really cool. I paid, I want to say somewhere in between $225 and $250 for the knife, and at that price I think it's a real bargain. It's hard to buy an actual new Emerson for much less than that. Some of the smaller models, of course, are under $200, but if you wanted to get a Roadhouse or any of their larger folding knives, you're going to be paying anywhere from $200 on up to $275. And the fact that Zero Tolerance is offering this at the same price, or in some cases less, than an actual Emerson, yet it's got all these upgraded materials and titanium frame lock, really is quite an accomplishment. So I can't say enough nice things about this knife. Sure, it's not the most practical. I mean, if you're looking for an ultralight EDC knife, but if you're into Emerson, if you are at all interested in the 620, then I definitely recommend checking it out. All right, guys, that's the review. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another knife review.